It starts quietly. You don't even notice it at first. You're too busy dreaming, too busy believing that the people around you see what you see, feel what you feel. You think they're on the same path, walking beside you, holding the same fire in their hands. You laugh together, you plan the future together, and you tell yourself, we'll make it together. That's what makes it hurt later, because you never saw it coming. The day they stop believing, the day they stop walking, the day you realize they were never coming with you. At first, it's confusing. You think maybe they just need time. Maybe they're tired. Maybe they'll catch up. You slow down a little, thinking loyalty means waiting. You give them encouragement. You share your energy. You remind them of the dream you all once had. But no matter what you say, they start fading. They talk smaller, think smaller, dream smaller. And you keep moving forward. That's when the distance begins. Not physical distance, but emotional. The kind that doesn't need words. You start feeling like you're living in two different worlds. They don't say it out loud, but their eyes do. You've changed. You've become different. You're not fun anymore. You're too serious, too focused, too distant. They make jokes about how you work too hard, how you care too much. And little by little, you begin to feel the isolation sink in. The ones who once pushed you now hold you back. The ones who once said, "You can do it," now whisper, "Don't go too far." That's when it hits you. They were never after growth. They were after comfort. And you became a threat to their comfort. You try to ignore it. You keep showing up, keep sharing ideas, keep trying to bring them with you. But deep down, you can feel it. The resistance, the jealousy, the quiet distance growing like a shadow behind every conversation. You start realizing how heavy it is to carry people who don't want to move. You love them, you care for them, but every step forward feels like dragging the dead weight of dreams that no longer breathe. You tell yourself you owe it to them. You don't. And then one morning, it all changes. You wake up and look around, and you're alone. Not because they left, but because they never planned to stay. You were just the spark they borrowed until they found comfort again. It stings, doesn't it? The betrayal without a goodbye. The silence from the ones you thought would always be there. But here's the truth. Some people are meant to be chapters, not lifetimes. Some people can only love you at your lowest, because your rise reminds them of what they refused to become. It's hard to accept. It's painful. But you can't drag them where they don't belong. You can't let their fear become your ceiling. So you take a deep breath, look ahead, and keep walking. Because deep down, you know, no matter how much it hurts, this is where your story truly begins. The moment you realized they were never coming with you, you tell yourself you can save them. That maybe if you just try harder, talk softer, give more, they'll finally see what you see. You start slowing down your own climb so they can catch up. You share your fire with people who only stand close enough to feel its warmth, but never learn to build their own. You think it's loyalty. You think it's love. But it's not. It's fear. Fear of outgrowing people who were never meant to rise with you. You keep reaching back, trying to pull them forward, but every time you do, the weight gets heavier. Their excuses, their doubts, their laziness, all of it starts clinging to you like chains. They tell you to rest. They tell you not to take things so seriously. They say you've changed. But what they really mean is that your growth makes them uncomfortable. And instead of climbing, they'd rather convince you to stop. You don't notice it at first because you're blinded by care. You believe that helping them is what makes you a good person. But sometimes kindness can become a cage. You start feeling it deep down, the drain. The way your fire flickers when you're surrounded by people who don't feed it. You start waking up tired, not from the climb, but from the weight of those who refuse to move. They ask for your advice, but never follow it. They talk about goals, but never act. You keep trying to light their way, but they prefer the dark because it keeps them comfortable. And you're burning yourself out trying to lead people who aren't even walking. There's a kind of pain that comes with realizing you can't save everyone. You'll see the potential in them, the spark they could have been, and it'll hurt to watch them waste it. You'll fight for them harder than they fight for themselves, until one day you realize you're fighting a battle they already surrendered. That's when the silence inside you starts to speak. It tells you the truth you've been running from. You can't take everyone with you. Some people are meant to stay exactly where they are, no matter how much you love them. You'll try one last time. You'll give them another chance, another conversation, another promise, but their actions will answer for them. And when they finally stop pretending to care, you'll feel a strange calm wash over you. It's not anger, it's clarity. The kind that comes when you finally understand that holding on to them means losing yourself. You can't save people who aren't drowning. They're standing still on purpose. So you take a step forward, alone. It feels cold at first, but lighter. You realize you were never abandoning them. You were just releasing what was holding you back. You look behind you one last time, not out of regret, but respect. Because part of you knows they'll stay where they are, and you'll keep walking. Because you can't take everyone with you. There comes a night when you sit in the dark and everything inside you feels torn apart. The people you once laughed with, dreamed with, fought for. They're not beside you anymore. And you can feel the pull, that heavy ache in your chest telling you to go back, to fix it, to try again. Because that's what your heart wants, to hold on. But your mind knows better. It knows the truth you've been avoiding. If you keep holding on, you'll never move forward. That's the breaking point. The moment when letting go starts to hurt more than holding on. You try to fight it. You tell yourself that maybe things will change, that maybe if you stay a little longer, they'll see what you see. But deep down, you know they won't. You've been rewriting the same story over and over, hoping for a different ending. You've been pouring your strength into people who only give you silence in return. And that silence, it cuts deeper than any words ever could. It's the sound of love dying quietly. You replay every memory in your head, every laugh, every promise, every moment when you swore you'd never walk separate paths. You feel the guilt pressing down on you, whispering that leaving them behind makes you heartless. But it's not heartlessness. It's heartbreak disguised as courage, because sometimes walking away isn't betrayal. It's mercy. Mercy for yourself, and mercy for the version of them that refused to grow. You stand in front of the mirror and barely recognize the person looking back. The light in your eyes has dimmed, not because you're weak, but because you've been carrying people who were never meant to be your responsibility. You start asking yourself the hard questions. What if I'm not supposed to save them? What if I'm supposed to save myself? That's the moment everything inside you begins to shift. The pain doesn't disappear, but it starts to make sense. You realize that sometimes the only way to love people who refuse to change is to let them go. It's not easy. It never will be. You'll have nights when you miss them so much it hurts to breathe. You'll catch yourself reaching for your phone, typing messages you'll never send. But each time you stop yourself, each time you choose silence instead of reaching back, you'll feel a new kind of strength growing inside you. A strength that doesn't come from anger or revenge, but from acceptance. Acceptance that not everyone is meant to stay. And when the dawn comes, something feels different. The guilt starts to fade, replaced by peace. You realize that letting go didn't destroy you. It freed you. You were never meant to carry everyone across your mountain. Some people were meant to stay in the valley, waving as you climb. And that's okay. Because the higher you go, the more you understand. The climb was never about who you lost. It was about who you became when you finally had the courage to keep going alone. Because leaving them behind isn't cruelty, it's survival. And then, after all the noise fades, after the heartbreak, the guilt, the sleepless nights, there comes a strange kind of calm. You stop waiting for apologies that will never come. You stop hoping they'll understand why you had to leave. You stop explaining yourself. You just breathe, and for the first time it feels real. The climb is quieter now, but somehow that quiet feels right, because somewhere along the way, you stop needing company to validate your direction. You learned how to walk alone. You start noticing how much lighter everything feels without the constant pull of people who didn't want to move. You start to see how far you've come. Not because anyone told you, but because you can feel it in your bones. Every scar, every wound, every tear that once felt like weakness now feels like proof. Proof that you didn't quit when everything in you wanted to. Proof that you didn't stay small just to keep others comfortable. You start realizing that what you once called loneliness was actually transformation. It was the universe clearing space for something greater. The world around you still spins the same, but you don't see it the same anymore. You used to crave their approval, their attention, their validation. Now you crave peace, you crave quiet, you crave truth. The same silence that once terrified you has become your safest place. You don't need to prove your worth to anyone anymore. You don't need to shout to be heard, because now your presence speaks for itself. People can feel it, the shift, the stillness, the strength. They may not understand it, but they sense it. That's what happens when you stop chasing and start becoming. Sometimes they come back, the ones who doubted you, who left you, who watched you struggle in silence. They return out of curiosity, wondering how you survived without them. But you've changed. You don't carry bitterness, you carry understanding. You look at them and realize you don't hate them, you thank them, because their absence became the reason you found your power. You needed to lose them to find yourself. You needed to walk through the pain to find the peace that only comes when you stop fighting for what's not meant to stay. And now, when you look around, you see it clearly, the view. The one you dreamed of when you were still surrounded by people who couldn't see past the ground. You made it here, not because someone carried you, but because you learned how to walk through fire alone. The air feels thinner, the climb steeper, but the freedom, it's different. You're not weighed down anymore. You're not chasing anyone, not running from anything. You're just standing there, breathing, finally at peace with the silence, with the distance, with yourself. Because now you understand the truth that took you a lifetime to learn. Sometimes you have to lose people to find your path. Not everyone deserves to come with you.